At 0200 hours on December 19, 1952, Captain John Walmsley descended through clouds over North Korea. His Douglas B-26 Invader, redesignated from A-26 in 1948, carried no bombs. The bomb bay was empty, modified for night interdiction, packed with cameras, electronics, navigation equipment, maximum speed, 355 miles per hour, faster than most fighters, fast enough to evade, fast enough to survive. Walmsley's mission was road reconnaissance. Find truck convoys moving supplies south, mark them with flares. Direct fighter strikes at dawn. The mission was routine. Walmsley had flown it dozens of times, but this night was different. At 0230 hours, searchlights trapped him. Anti-aircraft fire erupted. Shells bracketed the Invader. One struck the right engine. Fire erupted. The engine failed. Walmsley ordered his crew to bail out. The gunner and navigator escaped. Walmsley remained at the controls, fighting to maintain altitude, giving his crew time to clear the aircraft. The Invader descended. At 0238 hours, it struck a mountainside. Walmsley died. He was awarded the Medal of Honor posthumously. This was the Douglas A-26 Invader. The aircraft so successful it served in 3 wars: World War II, Korea, Vietnam. The fastest American bomber of World War II, the attack aircraft armed with up to 1850 caliber machine guns, the bomber that could carry 4,000 pounds internally and 4,000 more externally. The aircraft pilots called honest and forgiving. That crews called the best light bomber ever built. That served for 26 years because nothing replaced it adequately. The Invader that proved speed and firepower matter more than size. The narrative begins in January 1941 when the Army Air Corps issued a requirement. Specification: attack bomber to replace the Douglas A-20 Havoc and North American B-25 Mitchell. Requirements: speed exceeding 350 miles per hour, range over 1,000 miles, bomb load 4,000 pounds minimum, crew 3, defensive armament, remote-controlled turrets. The specification was ambitious. It demanded performance exceeding any existing light bomber. Douglas Aircraft Company accepted the challenge. Designer Ed Heinemann led the team. Heinemann had designed the successful A-20 Havoc, the SBD Dauntless dive bomber, multiple aircraft for Douglas and later McDonnell. Douglas. He understood attack aircraft. He knew what worked: speed, firepower, simplicity. The A-26 would embody these principles. The design featured clean aerodynamics, minimum drag, maximum power, 2 Pratt & Whitney R, 2 800 double Watts radial engines, 2,000 horsepower each, 18-cylinder 2-row configuration, the most powerful radial engines available. Total installed power, 4,000 horsepower. This compared to 3,200 for the A-20 Havoc. The power increase was substantial. The airframe was revolutionary, all metal construction, mid-wing configuration, tricycle landing gear. The fuselage was 70 feet long, streamlined, minimal frontal area. The wings spanned 70 feet, laminar flow airfoil, low drag, high efficiency. The design maximized speed. Wind tunnel testing refined shapes, every curve optimized. The result was the cleanest light bomber design of the war. Drag coefficient was exceptional. Speed would exceed requirements significantly. The armament was extraordinary. 3 variants were proposed: XA-26, glazed nose, bombardier position, 250 caliber machine guns in nose, 250 caliber in dorsal turret, 250 caliber in a ventral turret, 6 guns total. Designed for level bombing from medium altitude. XA-26A, solid nose, 650 caliber machine guns, same defensive armament, 8 guns total. Designed for low altitude strafing. XA-26B, solid nose with 75 millimeter cannon. The cannon variant never entered production. The concept was abandoned as impractical. The final production configurations were A-26B and A-26C. The B model featured solid nose with 6 to 850 caliber machine guns, fixed forward firing, concentrated firepower for ground attack. The C model retained glazed nose with bombardier position, 250 caliber machine guns in nose. Both models mounted 250 caliber machine guns in remotely controlled dorsal turret, 2 more in remotely controlled ventral turret. The turrets were revolutionary, electrically powered, aimed by periscope from gunner position. The gunner did not sit in the turret. He sat inside the fuselage. Safer, more comfortable. The system worked flawlessly. Additional armament could be installed. 650 caliber machine guns in wing leading edges, 3 per wing. 8 underwing gun pods. Each pod contained 250 caliber machine guns, Maximum configuration: 14 guns in solid nose and wings, 2 in dorsal turret, 2 in ventral turret. Total: 1850 caliber machine guns. The firepower was devastating. A 3-second burst delivered over 300 rounds. The recoil buffeted the aircraft violently. Pilots learned to fire in short bursts. Otherwise, the aircraft decelerated noticeably. The bomb load was flexible. Internal bay: 4,000 pounds. Wing racks: 4,000 pounds additional. Total: 8,000 pounds, double the specification requirement. The internal bay could carry various configurations: 8 500-pound bombs, 4 1,000-pound bombs, 2 2,000-pound bombs. The wing racks accommodated bombs or rockets, 8 to 14 5-inch high velocity aircraft rockets. The payload options were extensive. Missions could be tailored precisely. Specifications were impressive. Length: 51 feet 3 inches. Wingspan: 70 feet. Height: 18 feet 6 inches. Empty weight: 22,370 pounds. Maximum takeoff weight: 35,000 pounds. Power: 2 Pratt & Whitney R, 2 859 engines, 2,000 horsepower each. Maximum speed: 355 miles per hour at 15,000 feet. Cruise speed: 284 miles per hour. Service ceiling: 22,000 feet. Range: 1,400 nautical miles with maximum bomb load. The prototype XA-26 first flew July 10, 1942. Test pilot Benny Howard commanded. The flight was flawless. Performance exceeded predictions. Maximum speed was 373 miles per hour, faster than specification, faster than most fighters. Handling was excellent. Controls were responsive. Visibility was good. The tricycle landing gear made ground handling simple. Pilots transitioning from tailwheel aircraft praised the ease of operation. The XA-26 was a success. Production began at Douglas plants in Long Beach, California and Tulsa, Oklahoma. Initial deliveries occurred in August 1943. Crew training began immediately, but operational deployment was delayed. The Army Air Forces debated how to employ the aircraft: high-altitude level bombing, low-altitude attack, night interdiction. The A-26 could perform all missions, but doctrine was unclear. Training was inconsistent. Squadrons received aircraft without clear guidance on tactics. The first operational unit was the 319th Bombardment Group in the Southwest Pacific. The group received a 26 aircraft in January 1944. They deployed to New Guinea in May. The first combat mission flew May 23, 1944. Target: Japanese airfield at Wakde. 6 A-26s participated. Results were mixed. The aircraft performed well, but crews were unfamiliar. Tactics were undeveloped. Subsequent missions improved. By July, the group was effective. But then tragedy struck. On July 11, 1944, 5 A-26s attacked a Japanese position. Anti-aircraft fire was intense. 3 aircraft were lost, 60% casualties. This was catastrophic. Group commander requested the A-26s be withdrawn. The losses were unacceptable. The 5th Air Force complied. A-26s were pulled from combat operations. The aircraft were reassigned to training units. The Pacific debut was a failure, but the European debut was different. The 9th Air Force received A-26s in September 1944. Initial deployment: 18 aircraft to the 386 Bombardment Group. First mission: September 6, 1944. Target: German supply depot near Metz. All aircraft returned. Subsequent missions were equally successful. No losses during initial operations. The 9th Air Force was satisfied. They ordered full deployment. The A-26 replaced A-20s and B-26 Marauders throughout the theater. The 416th Bombardment Group converted to A-26s in November 1944. They flew missions supporting the Battle of the Bulge, attacking German supply lines, destroying rail yards, bombing bridges. The A-26s operated at medium altitude, 8,000 to 12,000 feet, fast enough to evade fighters, accurate enough to hit targets. Losses were acceptable. The aircraft proved itself in European combat. The difference between Pacific and European experiences was training and tactics. Pacific crews received minimal familiarization. They employed the aircraft incorrectly. Low-altitude attacks against heavily defended positions. European crews received comprehensive training. They employed proper tactics, medium-altitude attacks, coordinated with fighter escorts. The aircraft was identical. The results were opposite. Training mattered. By March 1945, multiple groups operated A-26s in Europe. The aircraft flew thousands of sorties, attacking German positions, supporting Allied advances. The missions were dangerous but effective. Crews praised the aircraft. Speed provided protection. Firepower destroyed targets. Reliability brought them home. The A-26 earned respect in Europe that it never achieved in the Pacific initially, but the Pacific got a second chance. In July 1945, properly trained, A-26 units deployed to the Philippines. They operated against Japanese positions in China and the home islands. The missions were successful. The aircraft performed as designed. Losses were minimal. The early Pacific failures were forgotten. The A-26 proved itself globally. Production continued through August 1945. Total, 2,452 aircraft, 1,355 A-26B, solid nose, 1,091 A-26C glazed nose, 6 prototypes and special variants. The production run was modest compared to other bombers, but the A-26 filled a specific niche: fast light bomber, ground attack aircraft, night interdiction platform. The aircraft was specialized but versatile. Post-war, most A-26s were placed in storage, but the aircraft was too useful to retire completely. In 1948, all attack aircraft were redesignated bombers. The A-26 became B-26. This created confusion. The Martin B-26 Marauder had been retired in 1945, but the designation was reused. Documents and history sometimes confuse the two aircraft. The Douglas B-26 Invader and Martin B-26 Marauder were completely different aircraft that shared only a designation. Korea changed everything. In June 1950, North Korea invaded South Korea. American forces deployed rapidly. Air support was critical, but jet aircraft were unsuitable for close air support. They were too fast, too expensive. The Air Force needed aircraft that could loiter, deliver precision strikes, survive ground fire. The B-26 was perfect. Aircraft were pulled from storage, refurbished, deployed to Korea. The B-26s arrived in July 1950. They operated from bases in South Korea and Japan. Missions included close air support, interdiction, and armed reconnaissance. Day missions attacked North Korean positions. Night missions hunted supply convoys. The B-26 excelled at night interdiction, fast enough to evade, armed enough to destroy, equipped with searchlights and flares. The aircraft found targets in darkness, destroyed them, returned safely. Captain Walmsley's Medal of Honor mission was typical. Night reconnaissance, find enemy movement, mark targets. His sacrifice saved his crew. His actions exemplified B-26 operations in Korea. Dangerous, essential, effective. Between 1950 and 1953, B-26s flew over 60,000 sorties in Korea. Losses were significant, but the contribution was decisive. The aircraft proved indispensable. After Korea, the B-26 was finally retired, or so it seemed. In 1961, the aircraft returned. The CIA and Air Force needed aircraft for covert operations, counterinsurgency, supply interdiction. The B-26 was ideal. Modifications created the B-26K Counter Invader, enhanced engines, strengthened wings, wingtip fuel tanks, improved avionics. The Counter Invader deployed to Southeast Asia. Between 1964 and 1969, B-26K aircraft operated over Laos and Vietnam, attacking trucks on the Ho Chi Minh Trail, supporting ground forces. The missions were classified: dangerous, essential. The aircraft performed superbly, but losses mounted. By 1969, airframes were worn out. Replacement parts were unavailable. The B-26 was finally retired. For real this time. 26 years of continuous service ended. Today, approximately 30 A-26s survive. Most are in museums. Several are airworthy. The commemorative Air Force operates multiple examples. The aircraft appear at air shows. The sound of R2-800 engines. The sleek profile. The nostalgic paint schemes. They remind audiences of an aircraft that served 3 wars. That proved speed and firepower work. That earned loyalty from every crew that flew it. The legacy is longevity. No other American combat aircraft served continuously from World War II through Vietnam. The B-26 did this because the design was fundamentally sound, fast, tough, versatile, simple to maintain, effective in combat. These qualities transcended technological advances. Even as jets replaced propeller aircraft, the B-26 remained useful for specific missions, in specific conditions. The aircraft filled niches nothing else could. At 0200 hours on December 19, 1952, Captain Walmsley died saving his crew. His B-26 struck a Korean mountainside, The aircraft was destroyed, but the crew survived because Walmsley gave them time. That was the Invader. An aircraft crews trusted. That brought them home. That saved lives through reliability and performance. The fastest American bomber of World War II, the attack aircraft with 18 guns. The bomber that served 3 wars. The Invader that earned its name and kept it for 26 years. That was enough.